Climate change is a very real and present threat to our environment, to our national security, to our economy, to our health, and to our very way of life.
The industrial revolutions of the mid-18th century through the late 20th century were the starting point of our current climate crisis. This is when the economy changed from mainly agriculture and handicrafts to industry-based manufacturing.
During this time, new fossil fuel energy-based sources, such as coal and petroleum, were utilized to power innovations like the steam engine, the internal combustion engine, trains, and steamships. This is also where we see the factory system become the dominant means for labor.
Climate change is an existential threat affecting the lives and health of everyone. This phenomenon is caused by an increased concentration of carbon dioxide gas in our atmosphere. Gas-based industry has grown as a cost-efficient method to innovation, causing a disregard for CO2 emissions. Emissions have grown exponentially since 1950, where the concentration of atmospheric CO2 has always cycled from 180 to 300 parts per million. Today, it is at 415 parts per million and increasing by the second.
The result is the global temperature rising 2 degrees Fahrenheit since 1880. If we continue this trend, the polar ice caps will melt, causing the sea level to rise 216 feet, completely submerging the entire Atlantic seaboard, Florida, the Gulf Coast, most of California, most of Antarctica, and so many other places around the world. Once the ice caps melt, the average temperature of the planet is projected to be about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, much higher than our current 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Which is why we pose the question to our newly elected President and Congress: what will you do to combat climate change and save our planet? Current efforts to combat climate change include proposals such as the Green New Deal.
We are not going to transition to renewable energies without also transitioning frontline communities and coal communities into economic opportunity as well.
Although this problem was created many centuries ago, now is the most pivotal moment in our planet's future. Due to the growing problem, climate change has come to the forefront of national politics. The divisiveness of our current political parties in conjunction of the overly capitalistic tendencies of our society today have created a political scheme that favors two drastically different views on the problem at hand.
Many left-wing politicians and youths have been doing their part to bring awareness to this serious issue, while others argue that climate change doesn't exist despite scientific evidence.
To my fellow conservatives, the climate is changing. It's time to claim our seat at the table and develop smart, limited government policies to establish American leadership on this issue. There is a reasonable, conservative approach to climate change, and we need to embrace it.
Let's talk about who is prepared to lead our country over the course of the next 4 years on what is an existential threat to us as human beings. Joe is about saying we're going to invest that in renewable energy. It's going to be about the creation of millions of jobs. We will achieve net zero emissions by 2050, carbon neutral by 2035. Joe has a plan.
While some conservatives recognize the growing problem that is climate change, it is important to note that these people are only in their early 20s. They believe in this issue as it will come to directly affect them in their lifetimes. Other people of the same political party have different ideas of what climate change is.
I'm not going to lose that wealth. I'm not going to lose it on dreams, on windmills, which, frankly, aren't working too well.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would put us back in the Paris Climate Accord. They'd impose the Green New Deal, which would crush American energy, would increase the energy costs of American families in their homes, and literally would crush American jobs.
This be included in the record. Look, my home state is at risk of its existence moving forward with sea rise. But we've got to make sure that we're moving forward in a rational manner that builds on successes and corrects failures, rather than these confounding policies that make no sense.
The new administration needs to act now and act fast if we want to even have a sliver of hope for a future on a healthy planet. As seen in the clips before, some people believe that change is unnecessary and radical, when in fact there are no radical ideas if it means bettering and caring for the environment. The newly elected President and Congress should employ professional and reputable scientists to come up with realistic solutions to this danger that could result in the extinction of the human race. We need policies that significantly decrease the amount of toxic materials being emitted into the atmosphere.
Regardless of political affiliation, each person desires to leave a better place for future generations. But unfortunately, there hasn't been much progress. There are many problems that need to be remedied, and more are created each day. But climate change should be at the forefront of this discussion, because without this planet, there is no future.